Etium and mort severmus, for even in death we serve.
Hello, guys and gals. This is The Whiff, talking in sketch form to you now. If you like what you see, then I humbly ask you to please hit that subscription button and the like button on the video. Since I'm a small-timer looking for work, since I'm poor as hell, the subscriptions truly make my day and motivate me to continue this hobby for myself and others. Now, let us begin! Hello, anybody, somebody, nobody, whoever may never see this. This is Siegfried Alexander Faust, The Whiff, coming back at you with some more Warhammer 40k. So, I just took a couple throat lozenges. My voice has been gone. I think I might be catching sickness from one of my supervisors. Or it could just be the weather, etc., or my lifestyle. I have not been feeling great lately, kind of down in the dumps, struggling to earn enough money because California is expensive. It's hard to get by. And I really wanted to make a top 50 Warhammer 40k list, and I actually did. And I was thinking about doing a crazy big video, but I've been getting annoyed at something to a degree that just makes it feel like a good chunk of the list is just stupid. It's foobar. It's a waste of time. And I think it'd be easier for me just to honestly go through my list, and people can obviously disassemble it, but I think it's within reason for why I feel like it's so easy to be disassembled, and my opinions on why the list is the way it is that I made, and for efficiency and how good it is for all the different armies right now, and what I think could be some good changes for Warhammer 40k. Also, I've just made I made 5 real quick armies here, not made, but of, I think, kind of the most efficient right now in the game for winning, mostly via combat, but also just through points. Necrons is just through points. Decent combat as well, but they're just, the Necron Silvertide list I made, again, with Reapers, not Flayers, is just so efficient. It's so good, with the Necron secondaries right now. The Word Bearer Chaos is, I think, better than the Black Legion. Black Legion, you just get to pump up Abaddon more. But I think this is just overall better for pumping up the whole army more. Zinch is really flip-floppy, depending on if your opponent is like deep striking melee with enhanced charge or some nonsense, or really quick charges, because they're insane against range, and they have great anti-charge to a degree for Zinc Demons. Sisters overall is my favorite right now. I kind of just basically stole them from a friend who mained them, because they're just, I prefer Argent Shroud over Bloody Rose. They're just, I love, the Melta spam is so ridiculous. It's just so nutty. And getting a bunch of rerolls, which people complained about the Harlequin luck dice, when this is just almost as bad, because you on average get more rolls that will matter, but you have less options for how to spend them, but you use them in the ways that you would mostly care about anyway, so who gives a shit. And then Tyranids, Psychic Barrage. I still think there's value in bringing the 3 Malceptors. You could do other lists, of course, besides how I build. I kind of just grab the most efficient units and see if you mash them together, if it usually pans out to being a great way to play the army, and unfortunately, usually it does. I've been trying to add, most of the videos I see based on tournament armies, which are very, very flawed, which are some reasons I'm going to go into shortly. So this is a bit of a rant. If it's not up your alley, just turn me off, watch something else. But I just wanted to give some content on my armies, my list, and just what I think of the meta, etc., and some awesome YouTubers like Auspex Tactics, when their video is based on tournament, which kind of makes sense, but I think has a big issue, which I want to go into. And how I haven't been making content, and I'm sorry. I don't know if this apology matters, because I don't really interact with many people. I was hoping to get a bit more comments, etc., on my videos, or likes, or subscriptions. I know I can reach out and do a lot more. And so there's myself to blame for that, I guess. But I was just not, it's my naivete. I was just hoping without trying I would just not fucking YouTuber star, just I'd have more than 30 people by now, for when I make this. Maybe think I lost a subscriber. after I posted my poetry videos. But yeah, I'll try to do more, but I just haven't been able to even do a lot of games recently. I've installed a lot of stuff. I've been busy cleaning and possibly getting sick and working. So just what time I have after I'm done recording this and I've done some other stuff, I'm probably just gonna go to the hot tub and relax outside. Because lately I've been finding more relaxation just being in nature and quiet than looking at a screen. As much as I've been loving video games, playing 20 hours a day or some shit, it just hasn't been me for like almost a month now, or at least a couple weeks. So yeah, without further ado, let me talk first about my there's 3 things I want to talk about. First, my top 50 list. So at number 50, Krieg ponies. Sorry Kriegers, I love them and I do want to include them over the Admech Strider Spam and Imperial Knights and non-cheese, because everyone loves Krieg. They're cool. And it's the only faction that brings fucking horses into a sci-fi battle. And it's weird. And they actually ride in from Deep Strike. They flank. It's really silly. Speed Freak Orcs at 49. They're just... They can be great against Harlequins. Because it's just Daka Daka Daka. But against most armies, it's just complete garbo. 48, Imperial Fists. 47, Raven Guard. Ironically, I just saw, like an hour or 2 ago or some shit, Auspex Tactics, I think, had a video posted earlier about the worst Space Marine legions currently in the meta. So I do think it's funny that I have some stuff that matches up with him. But I'm definitely going to have stuff that also doesn't. Next, I say Craft World Eldar, because they nerfed some of their stratagems and shit, Fire and Fade. And there's a problem with the fact that you can soup in Harlequin stuff with Drukhari and Craft World as a patrol. And usually the Harlequin stuff is superior. There is not enough wow, awe, shock, pam, blammo, and pizzazz for for the Craft World or Drukhari, which I'll get into, for me to overvalue their units, running them purist over heavily souped Harlequins, because they just feel the niche more often than not and give you more so with their Skyweavers. I just feel like Skyweavers are that good, and so it's just, I don't know. It makes me annoyed because it's going to go into some of the problems I'll talk about later about lore and uniqueness. They still have the ability to, like, Mind Warp Bop or something, a character, but it can fail and has a lot of problems, but it has the potential to be funny and just every turn just bibbity bop a fucking character because of leadership differences. Chaos Knights. Imperial Knights just have overall a bit more in their arsenal with relics, world traits, I feel like. The Knights, they need to get their dread abilities off, and God help them if they can't get to you by round 2. They're just screwed. If you don't have the strength 8 to bring down or mortal wounds to kill a knight in general, then they're going to beat you. But then that's kind of your fault for not running anything in your army like that, or enough volume like Tau Flamers to compensate. 44, Ultramarines. Cool, but and again, I was thinking about just showing off each one by one, but I'm just too tired. I just don't have the heart in me to do it. I apologize. You can look at my older videos to see all the armies. I probably sound sick recording this. Oh god, where's my notepad? Oh yeah, Ultramarines. Just yeah, I mean, they can fall back. Cool. It's good in niche scenarios. If you don't have anything to fall back with, then, you know, who really gives a shit? You have Super Smurf Daddy out there, too. And you can do one cool thing with the Land Raider. Achilles with Sergeant Kronos still. And I think you can still obviously use the Psyker Man with that, but it's not enough. It's not enough. Honestly, I love it because it's there. It's not complete garbo. That's one of the probably more memeier armies I have. Maybe the memeiest, because it's just... I don't know. They're just, I feel like they should almost be lower on this list, and they're at 44 out of 50. Anyway, feels bad for the blue boys, for the blueberries. Imperial Knights. Again, if your opponent has melted capability, high volume, charging infantry, they just have so many problems. They have more firepower, but they've just been too niched, and the game is kind of just set up against them in multiple ways, which is very annoying for Knights. But it's definitely a balancing act, because again, if you don't have the ability to take them down, anything that like will give you a better percentage roll on 4 to 5 ups, 3 to 4 ups instead of 4 to 5 ups, you're gonna be having problems. Black Templar, you could do some cool things with them with a Reaver Squad, Army of Renown, I believe, but. And, you know, of course, there's the funny-ass YouTuber video group that has, like, I can't remember them. Not Me Canyon, not Hot Diggity Demon. Flash Gits with their Black Templar versus Furry stuff. Oh, if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's so funny. And then their Sigismund, lore-wise, yeah, I get it. Oh, they have the different vows. Honestly, they're not that great. There's things here that surprisingly, I believe, efficiency-wise, place better. Drukhari beat the Craft World because literally if you go Witch Cult for your planes and you run bombers, and so that way you could do the strafing strike nonsense. It's the slice and dice bull crap stratagem. For 1 CP against a 20 block to 30 block model unit, you can do up to 20 to 30 mortal wounds for 1 CP every turn with just the stratagem alone in movement phase. That is obnoxious and needs to get squished. Most people don't run hordes, I get it, but God save the Necron warrior player who does that, and who has to verse that and just lose half more of their squad on average in freaking movement phase from one plane, and then it drops a bomb and it's not even fired yet. Deathwatch. Now I don't run Deathwatch with the vehicles because it just slows down the game a lot with the mixed detachment. So you can run in the squads. For Deathwatch, it's one of the few armies in the game that have multiple things with different toughnesses. So you can actually allocate damage differently, and which means your opponent can't roll all the dice together depending on what you want to do. So that's something you would have to announce to your opponent first, that you will not allocate to that thing, because depending on the dice roll, it may matter for the percentages. And so it's because you're supposed to do it one at a time, people just roll it all together. So this will slow down the game drastically to play it correctly. And if you use units like that with keywords as well, you can do weird things. Like you'll have breachable bikes. Because it's not that you can't have non-infantry, you just need to have the infantry keyword. But you're also biker. And so you just have so many keywords, you can get away with a lot of weird shenanigans. I believe units, it's not model-based for light cover and some other stuff. I'm not 100% on that. But yeah, you just get some weird jank shit with Deathwatch, and they have the special ammo, but honestly, it's mostly ass. It's mostly ass. The bigger thing is being extremely tactical. If they gave this army some buffs, hands down, best Space Marine army, just for the veteran players that know what they're doing, who can mix and match Xeno Hunter with the better things to fight their opponent, and they'll just, I don't know, this would just become a wrecking ball machine, and I want to see it because Deathwatch is cool. World Eaters, Death Thorn have 40. I'm waiting for the codex to come out. They're, I think, better overall than their previous version, but I honestly like the oodles more dice you'd roll in the last version. I think you roll like 40% less now, or some shit. They're just more efficient, but I actually just feel like, ooh, monkey brain, lots of dice. And additional charge bonuses, not anymore. Slanesh Demons, 38. I just feel like all the other demons kind of do it better. Nurgle has some T9 jank. Khorne Bloodletters are just so goddamn efficient for the point value. Zinch, Flamer Spam, and 3-up Invul from Hell. Slaanesh, I think, needs to go a bit faster. They need a wee bit movement increase. If they could have just... I'm going to be dangerous here and say 2 inches for everything in the army. That'd be dope. Emperor's Children, I put at 37. And again, just wait for me to finish. I'm going to explain. Here, you know what? Here, let me just say something now. I put them here because they don't have abaddon in them. Other lists have abaddon are way higher, just because abaddon's broken. Without abaddon, I think they're 37, but they should be probably a bit higher. It was just, I'd have to scrutinize a lot more at this list, and there's just so many fucking problems that would just change this list massively that it just becomes an issue. My Necron Monster Mash list with the double Catan, so you got the Void Dragon and the Nightbringer, and you have the Silent King. With just those 3 models alone is, I think, over half your army in points. The Cadian Guard Conscript spam, that is hilarious, especially when it kills a knight. But I can't imagine playing that IRL or like an LVO or some shit, or ITC, because you have so many models! Dude! It's the only army on Tabletop Simulator that I can't save by itself. I have to split it into 2 groups, and even then it's pretty maxed. That army is massive. Good lord. If your opponent was a dick and called for like proper measurements, you're fucked just from the movement phase. Ew. Harlequins 34. They go up or down depending on how many vehicles you face because of Skyweavers. Now, I run Sloth Skyweavers. You could run a list, I already like pre-checked, of like 5 to 6 efficiently Starweavers with squads up in them of troops with the Fusion Blasters and I believe Embracing Kiss, not Caress. One of them is just not that great. So the other 2 that are good for mortals. Both are good. I just like being able to go fast and bibbity-bopping vehicles a bit better. I just like that option it gives me. Yeah, you have the Fusion Blasters, but I don't feel like that does as much to compensate for your lack of attacks. And when your vehicle go boom, you can have problems with placement of your guys dependently, and it's just a lot of issues. Depending if your opponent's smart. I've come across smart opponents and it just gets annoying, and I just honestly don't have as much fun. Adamec Army of Renown. That army is dope. I think the army is very cool. It's got matter drip than a lot of the other armies on this list. I think it's more interesting than the Strider spam. Strength 9 stuff. Boy, in the future, that list might make a resurgence, and I might have to, unfortunately, get rid of the Kriegers or something because that list has value. I just feel like generally the AOR AdMech has more efficiency value against a broader spectrum of lists. Yeah, the Necron Silver Tide, which you see here. I hate how this is efficient. In the sense that, like, I don't think this is how the game should be played. But you can easily win. You could deal decent damage and get a lot of secondary points and control the primaries and win the bloody game. I gotta do one more and then I gotta use the restroom real quick. But yeah, this is, if you want a very easy list that will probably win the game almost playing AFK. I almost won a game completely AFK. It's so stupid, dummy good because you just control the primaries. You're just gonna win from points. And this is the best army to use for a newer player because they can make really dumb tactical choices and still probably win just because they're just gonna be hard as fuck to shrug off of stuff. 31 Orcs. This is regular Orcs, my Orc spam list. This is one of the few other Horde armies Orcs, because of the point reduction, are very nice, especially with, I believe, Goths. And you can make an argument for getting them 6-up invul and stuff, but Snakebite, etc. It's overrated. It helps you against strength 6 and 7 weapons. They're out there, but the general gist of most armies don't run that. It's 4, 5, and 8s for a lot of, or above. And anything above 8 or above is same shit for orcs for the most part. So fuck it. And when you get the def treads on the def rolla on the battle, fucking, I don't know, APC tank, then it actually has a 2-up weapon skill, which is deceptive, and could do good, decent damage afterwards. It's probably the strongest. I think it's the best transport in the game, maybe for its point cost. It's close up there with the squats, or I should say the League of Votann for their super baby carrier tank. Yeah, let me use the restroom real quick. Quick intermission. Yeah, like, it's going on like 3 weeks now. I've been feeling progressively sicker and sicker slightly. That, and I had an incident where I ran in my flip-flops and I tore off a lot of skin on my feet. And I just didn't care. I'm like, yeah, I'll just blister. And just like it got worse. And I was like, yikes. White Scars. They're a bit more charging than I expect for other armies. Space Marines, AOC, White Scars right now. Space Wolves. They have Fight on Death, and I love Wolfen for it because they have that. If they're stuck in round 3 onwards, they're putting out more than Blood Angels and White Scars should for melee. This is getting to that point, which with the reduced board size just brings them down in scale. And I was gonna bring up an issue later, but I'll just touch on it now. Yeah, Wolves get Armor of Contempt because the Adeptus Astartes keyword. Let me just verify that real quick for myself. Yep. Alright, that's all I need to verify. So yeah, Wolves get Armor of Contempt. Should not be a thing. Gene Stealer Cult. Ambush is cool, man. Anything that, like the Krieg where it changes up Deep Strike in a more unique way. Especially if it's not just like wording. Like, different wording is always dope, especially if it changes nothing. Because it adds a unique flavor. But actually adding small gameplay changes, if it's not wild, good. Very good. However, they get Armor Contempt for Brood Brother vehicles. Now, fun fact, you can bring more than 500 points of Brood Brothers, but then if you do that, which is funny, because you can have an entire army of Imperial Guard, and they don't have anything that's specific from Gene Stealer Cult, and that's totally okay, and they're Gene Stealers. But they don't get the Crosshair bonus. Now, regular Gene Stealer Cult with Crosshair is mostly ass. It's not near... It's because the... I'm tripping over myself. It's like Marker Lights for Tau, but the Tau actually have better shooting. So it actually makes more of a difference. So you're just improving shit into something that's good, to decent, not great. Not even great or good, just decent. So I think you should stick with the pure strain Gene Stealers. They do good melee. Just run with that. And laugh because Armor of Contempt is not Imperium based for Imperium Chaos. It's keyword based, and it says the Astra Militarum vehicles, and those are Astra Militarum. There's Brood Brother. Aniwazi, as some would say. Corn Demons. Bloodletters. They actually are Scene Stealers. They steal the limelight from the Bloodthirsters. New Bloodthirster, I should say, because it's just combined models. Yeah. Bloodletter's really good. They are, like, so good. I'd be tempted to run more if possible. I just don't think it is the best idea. But damn, they're good. I love it. Iron Hands. Iron Hands are very nasty for anything that's not T8. More so just T4 spam, because their Devastator Doctrine, the amount of shots they're doing with my list, with the two gunships and the drop pods with Meltas, their niche is like they should wipe a heavy amount of enemies out turn 1 to 2 / round 1. If they don't, well, they lose. And try to kill everything that can kill the planes. If they could do that, then even if they lose every other squad there and shit, you know, as long as the planes are gonna be alive and kill things, then they should win. But it's like that. Most armies in the game just, you shouldn't run planes right now. They're just not pulling their weight. Too many things could just bibbity bop them. Salamanders, again, good with flamers. Let me check the flamer meltas. If I ended up doing aggressors, I never updated it on my yellow scribe for TTS. I think I talked about it, but I didn't actually. I do have a warlord. Why is it being dumb? I don't care. One of you is a warlord, for all I care. Yeah, okay, so I did fix it on here. I just don't have it on Yellow Scribe. Yeah, the Land Speeder Tornadoes, very fun. The fact that each one comes with a heavy flamer and then a multi-melta. So if you have a unit of 3, that's going to be 3d6 heavy flamer, which is nothing to write home about. But you also have the multi-meltas, so it's going to be 6 multi-meltas. Good, but nothing to write home about. But the big nasty is, because they move 16 and it's got 24-inch range, you're covering the board effectively 40 inches, and they fly. They fly now. So you're going to be able to go wherever the hell you want to go with them, and you can zippity-doo-dah-day your way somewhere and then mess some people up. Now, you could change this list to be able to afford assault cannons on your Land Speeder Tornadoes. I think the only reason I didn't was because of the flamer bonuses that the Tornadoes get. So especially if you go turn 1, then since they're heavy, they're going to get the Devastator bonus. So extra AP, so it's going to be Strength 5, AP 2. A bit more of a big spooky for their Overwatch. But I could definitely see assault cannons as well, because you're going from 1d6 each to heavy 6 each. 6 shots, AP 1, 1 shot. Very nice. But it makes them rather expensive at 85 points. T6, 6 wounds, 3 up. I still think it's very worth doing. I might even change this later. Leave that one open. Where the fuck am I? We're halfway done. 24. Dark Angel's Deathwing. Yeah, so I actually, crazy notion, I don't run the Deathwing Knights, because I think it is better just to run for costs the rather Deathwing Relic Terminators, etc. The way I do, because that way you can just give them chain fists and shit. If you fight vehicles, luckily you get an advantage. You should win out against most things that are not mortals. Because you're so ridiculously tanky. And I bank on the fact that you're so tanky that it will compensate for your 4-up versus 2-up for melee, I believe. And you will be able to win the combat because of that. Again, you could run knights instead, but like, why shouldn't your opponent just focus them down? And you get less because of running knights because they're more expensive. So I just feel like it's overall a slight trap. It's jingling keys, shiny object. Death Guard 23. I think, as much as I kind of don't like it because it just complicates things a bit more, is running all the weapon variants on the squads of the Plague Marines. Hear me out. Death Guard Terminator is T5 2-up, but a Death Guard Space Marine is T5 and a 3-up. And while the Terminator has an extra wound, if you already have like cover and they're AP 1 or 0, then you're gonna be 2-up anyway. And I feel like against some things, it's just better just to have the regular Marines. Melta probably won't give a shit. If they get a 4-up, a 50-50 on every Melta shot, it'll just kill a Terminator anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I think, and if you're in melee, then, that's where you want to be. So again, run the Terminators if you bloody want. I just think they're too expensive and not cost efficient versus just running Plague Marines. I think Plague Marines are a steal for what they do. Zinc Demons, I post 22. Again, thinking about my list I made now, I would definitely have to remove a lot of stuff, but it would be such a fucking headache, and that's going to go into when I'm done with this whole top 50 list. If you stuck around long enough, just keep sticking around, I'll get to it. My justification. Zinc Demons, 3-up invul, 6-up melee. Stupid amount of shooting now. They stole their psychic away from the pink horse. The bastards. But even though you got less smiting, they just got way more shooting now. The amount of flamer shots is pretty disgusting. It'll make a Tau flamer spam list blush, but yeah, it's, I don't know. It's really weird. Yeah, if you're a shooting army, you're gonna have problems. If you're not a shooting army, and once you're in, you don't have problems. It's just getting in. Tyranids. I think they're good where they are right now, because you have to go all your eggs in a basket for the psychic to make it really nasty. And even then, you can just get your big stuff squished with a lot of Melta, or just get unlucky dice rolls with your 3-up invuls, 4-ups, etc. And warriors are good, yes, but I just don't think they bring nearly as much to the table as other things that are T5. So 20 Night Lords. Okay, I'm gonna speed through a couple of these. Night Lords, then Alpha Legion, then Creations of Bile. Creations of Bile could be a bit higher, but all the CSM, I'm so fucked up right now. CSM lists are just suffering from Abaddon. Abaddon is too fucking good, and until he gets a big squish in the form of likely a points increase, these lists are all just way higher than they should be. Possessed are good. I run Possessed with a Black Rune on them, on one of the squads instead of the Terminator. Yeah, you can do silly things with the Terminator as well, but that helps against wounds. Which, that'll make Melta and Possessed go from 3 to 4, but Melta's on Terminators go from 2 to 3. And, if you had the ability to trans them, no, it fucking matters then. Even though you can't. My point is, it's just, I feel like people are gawking too much at the fucking Terminator thing as being like the new fucking sliced bread from Mars, when Possessed with the rune are just as good, if not better, I believe, and usually do more in melee. I don't know, I just think at the all, I will stand my ground that it is a bit overrated for the Terminators versus Possessed with the rune, and so many of my lists, look just like this, because it's just so efficient, and it's boring because 5 of these or more of these CSM lists just don't have as much creativity and uniqueness. Hell, the creations of Bile, there's no reason, you don't have to run Bile. He's not even great. So they don't. People don't run him. He's not in his own fucking army. What is that? So things should be fixed. There are issues here. You shouldn't be required to run anybody like that, but damn it, like, he should be worth considering. He just really isn't from a data standpoint. Iron Warriors, they have cool shooting. It's a bit of a toss-up with your guns and what you shooting you do with obliterators and stuff. But I don't think they have a whole lot right now that really wows me. It depends on what you are fighting against, because they're just so thick. And they can just get melted down. And the obliterators are a bit too expensive for what I think they do. I think that you need a small points decrease. If besides like Iron Warriors making the most out of them, you need to have more reason for all these other armies to run different things. And that'd be a way to help. Kadchan tanks, you could run the spotter details, etc. with the tanks instead, but Kadchan lets you run Sergeant Harker with the rerolls and stuff. And so instead of running spotter details and the extra reroll, you get the same thing with Kadchan anyway. You just don't get the distance increase, but Sergeant Harker around your tanks gives them natural reroll 1s, which is great because you don't have to worry about people being 24 inches or further for you to get shit, having to spend for the rerolls. You just passively have it, and it's easy to protect them because they're a bunch of thick-ass tanks, unless they explode like they do for me often. Ynnari, 15. Okay, look, guys. The tournament setting is a good way to think about, but it has fucking flaws. And furthermore, now let's talk about the 4 Eldar, because I've now talked about all 4 Eldar, because I mentioned Ynnari. So, Harlequins are a bit better because of the Strike, Fire and Fade shit being nerfed at currently bibbity-bopping characters. The Drukhari have the extremely good stratagem for eviscerating flyby, for chowing down on a horde. And again, you can play these different ways. I'm just saying, like, some of the most efficient shit that they have. That is also unique and or a really good reason to play them. Otherwise, you can just run all Chaos Space Marines exactly the same. Who gives a shit about their lore and uniqueness and special efficient bonuses? The Harlequins, they get a bit more against vehicle, go faster, they have better invuls. The Ynnari are overall the most balanced, though. If the Harlequins aren't fighting, they're fighting like Tyranids or non-vehicle, then that list is going to suffer. If your characters have high leadership, high wounds, and you don't have horde armies, and you don't have vehicles, all 3 of those lists are going to suffer, except Ynnari. Ynnari list will probably be the most balanced and get you the best results. So because it's the most generalist, it places higher. Crazy, I know. Red Corsairs, same list here, but they can advance and charge, I believe, unless I'm mistaken, for 14. Their number's 14, not for 14. Tau Custom Flamer. Oh no. So they get, with the custom set, strength 5 at 12 inches or less, and your opponent doesn't get light cover, and that way you can do shield generators instead. So they have the most flamer out of like all these armies, and it is pretty nutty. Anything that is strength 5, toughness 5, more so toughness 4 or below, oh boy, you will wound on a 3-up, and you will reroll 1s because of Montka. You are just gonna disintegrate so many things, including demons. Even these fucking 3-up save shit that they have for Zinch, that's cute, don't care. Because you're going to have so many shots going to these fuckers that they're just going to disappear. And I believe how current split is... it's after. Doesn't even say. Yeah, after resolving the attacks. Not destroyed, which you will easily destroy the unit. Or you can overcommit just to make sure they're gone. Yeah, the Tau Custom Flamer is a very easy army to build that will let you sustain a lot of damage with them and just destroy stuff like that. But God forbid you find anything that's T5 spam / T6 or above. Oh God, you're in for some trouble. Especially if it's got good save. So like the Catachan tank thing, oh God, the Catachan tanks are now you're wounding them on 5-ups, rerolling 1s, and they save on a 2-up anyway. Blood Angels, literally because of Sanguinary Guard. Everyone knows Sanguinary Guard are really good. I am sketchy as I give my Sanguinary Guard. I have 2 squads, and I give them a, and I don't recall if I have given them Feel No Pain aura, but I give them all Inferno Pistols. So they do big shoot energy. But yeah, it's clobbering time. But because of the Inferno Pistol, they're not able, unless I'm mistaken, to get their Deep Strike because I don't think it's 12 inches. I could be mistaken. So yeah, it's very odd. But once they're gonna probably get one good round of combat and fuck something up bad. Custodes. I have Custodes at 11. Against most generalized armies, I feel like they're still up there. Maybe I'm biased because I really like them, but I've done more so worse with them than good. But that's only a couple games I've played. I don't know. I think they need slight point decreases here and there. Most of the katas are underwhelming. Emperor's Chosen are a bit too meta. And the people that just argue that it's garbage are idiots. Like, others can be good in certain situations, but as a generalist pick, it is by far the best. Like, objectively, number-wise. Like, the numbers don't lie. You can roll dice, and they will agree with you. And that is the sense if you play psychic armies and or compensating for different methods of play. Now into top 10. Grey Knights, Thousand Sons, Nurgle Demons, Squats, Black Legion, Be'lakor, Demons Undivided, Word Bearers, Sisters of the Bloody Rose, Tau Heavy, and Sakea, and Sisters of the Argent Shroud. Done. Now that's it. But it's Grey Knights, then Thousand Sons because Scarabs are spooky, and they have more generalist usability than the Baby Carriers of Nemesis Dread Knights. If you lose the Dread Knights, you're in for some problems. Fun fact, though, the Grey Knights is the only list where you can bring Terminators as a troop choice. That's worth exploring. Good lord. And Nurgle Demons, I had to remake that recently. I do think you could run drones, and I had me rambling in that video. You could have drones in there instead of some beasts and other stuff, or plague bearers, or you could run 3 great unclean ones. You just have 3 different patrol detachments. It'd be a meme because you have 6 fat models with T9, which is funny because you're making Melta's wound you on 5-up. But depending on the rules, it's still gonna be more than enough. Yeah, and the Grey Unclean ones, they already are so fucking fat and slow, and they don't benefit from dents, so they got problemas. Squats, so they're up and down. Again, they've flown all over this list because I didn't know where they were going to be with stuff, combinations, and then if they were going to get nerfed. Oh boy, they did with Judgment Tokens, which is a big thing of theirs. I still think they're good. Definitely in the top 25, maybe top 10. I don't think they're in the top 10 now, actually. I think they're actually below top 10. But I'm not completely sure. I still want to try them out a bit. Combinations, I don't have much access to stratagems, verifying stuff. Black Legion, because Abaddon go bonk. Be'lakor, Demons Undivided, because that one, as much as I love it, I feel like the Zinch will maybe do better. The Demons Undivided, it just has the best shit from every Legion, except for the ironic fact that the Exalted Flamers buff the Flamers, which turn the Flamers with the Fate Skimmer and other stuff buffing it into the best thing. So for Zinch, I just have Exalted Flamers. Because then you have Strength 9 shooting for 3 flat damage, which could all whiff, but, you know, it's funny. Maybe you just bonk a Dreadnought with your shooting and their characters so they're protected. So you could maybe get some shenanigans done with that. Word Bearers, number 4, because they reroll all their fucking hits, and Chaos is mostly melee based. Once you get to round 3, though, onwards, that's when they're more nasty, like the Wolfen. Sisters of Bloody Rose. People like them better than Argent Shroud. If your opponent allows you to set up your sister, wow, brain fart, your multi-multi sisters, your retributors, without punishing you, and other stuff without punishing you, and you roll well as well, and they're getting their rerolls because of Canoness Palatine, shame on your opponent. Shame on them. The whole thing with Argent Shroud I like being better is you can control where they're going to be and stuff. You control a lot of the battlefield for the most part. It gives you far more control than normal while still having good amount of Melta damage. The amount of Melta is insane, especially with Armor Contempt. Number 2, Tau Sakea Heavy. That gets you dense on your shit. So much Melta, and the fucking rail guns. My first game I played was with Knights. It was before the railguns, but I got hit by a volcano lance and stuff and just lost so much big shit instantly, and it's so defeating when you have such a point investment in a model and it just can't keep up against the amount of firepower that will just come its way and instantly disintegrate it. And then Sisters of Argent Shroud, literally for that reason. I think they're better than the Bloody Rose. You don't really need the Miracle Dice as much. You have so many rerolls. You can advance, shoot, all kinds of stupid nonsense. And the way I built my army is, yeah, I give off assassination easier, but I build it in a way where I may not give a shit because my girls are getting so much more consistent damage output, and I can split my board because I have 2 Canoness and 2 Palatines. So that gives me far more options. Yes, I would like Big Sis, Big Booty Judy, even though she's not Judith, I understand. But it's too much of a point investment, so I can't take her. This is a point investment I can make and take, and so I do for Argent Shroud. That's my top 50 list. Go listen to the rant again. I'll go back down really quick now from 1 to 50. Sisters of the Argent Shroud, Tau Sakea Heavy, Sisters of the Bloody Rose, Word Bearers, Be'lakor Demons Undivided, Black Legion, Squats, Nurgle Demons, Thousand Sons, Grey Knights for the top 10. Top 20, Custodes, Blood Angels, Tau Custom Flames, Red Corsairs, Yunari, Catachan Tanks, Iron Warriors, Creations Bile, Alpha Legion, Night Lords. Top 30, Tyranids, Zinch Demons, Death Guard, Dark Angels, Deathwing, Salamanders, Iron Hands, Corn Demons, Gene Stealer, Cult, Space Wolves, White Scars. Top 40, Orcs, Necron Silvertide, Admech AOR, Harlequins, Acadian Guard Conscript Spam, Necron Monster Mash, Emperor's Children without Abaddon, and just like the, I mentioned it, the World Eaters don't have Abaddon. Oh, they're not yet there. Slanesh Demons, World Eaters, Death Watch. In the top 50, Drukhari, Black Templar, Imperial Knights, Ultramarines, Chaos Knights, Craftworld Eldar, Raven Guard, Imperial Fist, Speed Freak Orc, and Creek Ponies. Now, there are 10 things in particular about 40k that I take issue with currently, I think. Of course, this list goes on, but these are 10 things that came to my mind while I'm melting my gray matter. Armor of Contempt. Have it or don't. I think it is a good temporary thing until they can make the rules more fine-tuned in 10th edition for some of these other issues. However, Gene Stealer Guard vehicles, servitors, and fucking wolves, doggos, should not have goddamn Armor of Contempt. Anything that is a beast should not have Armor of Contempt. I stand by that. That's point 1. Point 2, Abaddon is too good. He's like literally in every CSM list because you should run him because he's so good. And if I don't, then the list falls down. And I am disheartened and demotivated and drained when I look at all my CSM lists. I have to try to rate them in a top 50 list video. And I realize maybe I should include Abaddon, rework the list completely, and it just all feels like the same thing. And so if you nerf Abaddon to the point where he's worth considering or / not considering, then so many of these lists will fall. Some things are still good, like the possess being really good still. Cool. That should be changed, but Abaddon is just too freaking good right now. And then even after his change, they should do a point increase to possessed. Just at least to possessed. I love them, but it's just they ruin the makeup of the armies right now. It's an issue. Coherency wording isn't. So I brought this up, and I think this is the only thing I found as a 9th edition ruling that's an issue. There's a couple things. Like on a side honorable mention, wobbly models. The wording, headhunting for that shit in 9th edition is cancer, to prove that you can put something somewhere for someone on the spur of a moment where it may not fit its base. Because I believe you have, because it was in older editions, it said no, then the wobbly effect, and if it fits, it sits. Now you can, as long as it sits. If it sits in any way, then it's there. But because the wobbly effect, for making sure your model doesn't get damaged, you can then placeholder, move it elsewhere, but it is there. If it sits, it fits. It's been reversed. But they haven't come around and said that. That's my honorable mention. My big thing is coherency. If you take a 10-man squad, you split it, except you don't. You're not officially splitting it, you're just keeping them as 2-5 things that didn't just move away from each other. Based on the current wording, that's fine. They've done nothing wrong. It's just hard to say that they are not in coherency because they're not all together. And I think there should actually just be just that wording put in. They must all be together as a single, like, eyed cohesive unit. And if someone's like, well, I'm eyeing it, define eyed. And then they should have, like, some snarky comment. Because that's the only thing I found, and if you argue that, like, you are being petty. But that is something that needs to get fixed. 3-up invols, melt to spam, non-lore uniqueness, and 5-up feeling no pains on some weird things. Some stuff has 5-up feeling no pains that really oddly, for some reason, and some stuff doesn't. That should be looked at. Melt to spam and 3-up invul. They got rid of 3-up invul because it's hard to kill anything. And then but melt to spam because it's just more effective now. And then armor of attempt to reduce melta, or just, it's not even melta, it's like, okay, that makes melta work less. Yeah, you're right, but what does this really affect? Heavy bolter and some of the other, like, shuriken and other things. And so if you're, it's a bit too oppressive, armor of contempt right now. And I feel like they just need to rework all that stuff. I'm not sure how. I think, unfortunately, might come down to points. I'd say more so war gear, or anything that has that kind of capability dependent. Because just, it's high armor piercing. High armor piercing, high damage. Oh, woo, woo. Dog with a little chew toy. Go get it. And, when that becomes such an efficient pick, to either take those 3-up invols, melta spam, really tanky stuff or whatever, high damage, then when you just run so much of it because it's efficient, and you can cover a lot of corners and do stuff, or bases, I'm sorry, I'm fucked up. You lose the lore uniqueness. And there's not as, the Space Marine, quote unquote, chapter tactics just don't shine that much. Especially more so for Chaos. Like, you just don't you're not really building any different to make the most of it for the most part. Like, Iron Warriors and Night Lords, that's basically it. Everyone else kind of builds the same, excluding World Eaters because Berserkers, and Emperor's Children because of Noise Marines, because they're actually decent. If I think the game needs to be more focused on lore, thematic, and a good way on my mind as just a scrub gamer would be to offer an additional bonus for playing the army a certain way, kind of like an Army of Renown pre-setup requirement that will make someone have like 1,500 of their 2,000 point list or some shit, kind of like built this way. Or it's like, oh, well, you can only have one of every unit, no matching data sheets. If you had something like that, then that would fix a lot of these issues where you're just running like, okay, well, I just run one Rubric Marine, then one Havoc, and one Squad of Possessed, and just do other things. And again, you could still do this, but you just get an extra bonus if you don't do it and you do it another way, and it's worth considering. That would add way more list building, way more people getting involved in microing their lists, and that way you don't necessarily need to fix this shit, which would be a headache, and you just make it other things more competitive. Or even the same list, you're just making that army competitive in a different way, and it's going to make the game more revitalized because it's not the same cookie cutter shit. I really want them to do that. That would just be such an easy fix. The fucking squat apology video after releasing the refunds? Okay, they literally meme themselves, be like, oh, we're gonna make the most OP thing. We listen to our audience and we care. Motherfuckers, you're literally pointing out that you fucking don't. And you're like, we're sorry. It's the South Park apology video. We're sorry. I'm sorry. We're sorry. And they're rubbing their nipples and shit for the oil spills. Like, no. Plague taste it fucking correctly. Release it not broken. And, like, people also are not blind to the revolving door policy of power scale that the company does to make money. And you know what? Cringe. I agree with it. Because you know what? It makes them fucking money. And they need it. Grow the company, etc. And, I'm all for it. And again, that's where you have the codex creep. And I am okay with their idea is getting a tournament system for between 40 to 60, close to 45 to 55 scale on tournament placing for armies, and then buff them as needed. I'm okay with power creep going up to an extra 5% for armies, not more than that, but an extra 5% where they are better. Yeah, it's codex creep. And that way it's not too oppressive. It's just a little oppressive because it's a brand new thing. And it's been like maybe like a fucking year to 2 years since you got an update in your army. Now it's good. It's going to be good for a couple months. It's going to be the best. Or percentage-wise, more efficient to some degree. But could still lose out in some other niche combinations. If you put all your eggs in one basket for shooting or melee or psychic or whatever. The Chaos Lord jump pack gone, why not keep it? And Space Marines not having it. They should have just fucking kept the fucker. And I feel bad for the Night Lords. Again, they're losing uniqueness. And it's like, oh, well, the Space Marines don't have it, then give them one. Or just keep it, fuck it. I don't think Space Marine players really significantly care. Why did you phase it out? Who gives a shit? That it's just like weird things being phased out. Like, did they not want to officially keep making it via the molds anymore? Like, why? Were people not buying it? And that's why? You're not giving them a reason to buy it. And then you can just sit around. It's fine. Just keep it phased in. And you don't have to just sit in a warehouse for a while. Goddamn. Many factions are efficient with non-lore or 3-unit spam lists. Yeah, I've kind of already covered this, but spamming a lot of the same thing because it's fucking good. I don't like it. I do it because I'm competitive, but I think it would be cooler if you had strike squads, kill teams, you had people who do different tasks. And again, I don't think people should be forced into doing it, but you should have a bonus that is realistically worth considering, or gives you flavor to not be in the dumpster if you don't do that. Of course, you could say, well, some armies don't only have, like, the troop, you need 3 troops for Harlequins. It's the only troop choice is troops for, like, battalion or whatever. Yes, I get it. Don't let it affect troops, basically. That's fine. Or you can even make another rule, some other stuff, but this would just generally improve the game as a whole. Terrain not being kept to 18-ish. This is to say 1 per 12 by 12 recommended actual and core to be about a quarter of the board. So the 12 by 12 is actually mentioned in the core book, and what this is saying is not going over the top of terrain. Terrain placement if you have a good amount of terrain, but you place it all around the perimeter, then like shooting armies are going to get a huge advantage, obviously. So you want to do good terrain placement, but there's some games I've seen with just so much terrain, and it just overbalances against shooting armies, and more so the melee infantry just get too much of a bonus. And people are just okay with it, but guess what? So much is melee infantry right now. That's why a lot of people are cool with it. Boy, it just causes too many problems. Monkeys don't need to fucking think. You're more so just measuring the charge range and nothing else. Am I in or behind cover? Cool. How far am I? That's it. Like, you're not trying to go sideways. It's just, am I do I want to be in or off of cover for obscuring? And then how far in a straight line am I from where I need to go? You're not trying to go left or right. It's straight line running at each other. And, you know, playing as an orc is cool, but forcing everyone to play orc, not cool. It's the old thing about Tau being overzealous in their shooting, and if you give them a lot of shooting lanes. Again, I don't want to overfavor shooting armies, but some matches, just make sure you're keeping it to the correct terrain. And then do good terrain placement. And even then, you don't know what mission you're going to get. So, it's all up in the air. But there's just a bit too much I've seen for a couple months now of terrain that is oppressive against shooting armies. To a point where I need to speak up about it. The Silent King Technomancer Revive Cheese. I have Necrons. I love them. I love them. But, no. That should not be a thing. It's stupid. With his menhirs. You teleport him in, he's core because of vehicle. No. It's stupid. I want them to remove it. It's just ridiculous. And it literally makes the Monster Mash army one of the top 50 because he's just so good. He's 1/5 your army, and a good man won't stay down. Now, I've lost him getting just melted almost from 100 to 0 in one turn. I lost one menhir. And then I lost the menhir and him all in one. Almost by shooting from one fucking model. My friend's Volcano Lance fucker Imperial Knight Castellan or some shit. So he's not overpowered, but the Revive Cheese is stupid. It needs to go away. And then this is a quite, again, I think like most of these are more reasonable. I'm not like speaking out my ass. I'm trying to give a good description. Is the still being paint color locked for some armies for legal tourney pay. So I love the color scheme of Sacred Rose or something for girls, but I'm playing Argent Shroud. Nope, they must look like Argent Shroud. Or I think the Xenomorph build with Tyranids is super cool. Okay, but if you're adding 2 degrees some stuff on your models, that could be considered illegal, and they need to have the 3 separate colors. So if they don't, then it's illegal. At the end of the day, you can just play. You'll just not get the 10 points for the colors. If you're adding stuff to the models and whatnot, that could just be straight up illegal. It's like using a 3D mold instead of the actual one from GW for much cheaper models. Look at it. It's so much cheaper online. And then people measure and realize, oh, it's several millimeters too big. It's a fake. It's a witch. Burn her. And so some armies, like, just let them paint the color scheme of whatever they like to do. Like, I don't think it's a big deal. Like, you want them to buy paint. I get it. From you. Cool. But you're forcing them to play that one color scheme. And it makes it more lore accurate. I get it. But I think this would make more people happy. And it makes it more relaxed. I would just say that is the official, but they're not required to do that. That's just that is the standard that is seen inside the galactic space. That's what is usually what they're seen as, but sometimes they've been seen as other things. There. That's all you have to say for every army. Done. Covered. Who gives a shit? Move on. I don't think you're stealing the thunder out of their cap by having them look a bit different for their freaking color scheme. There's other things that are more important, like fixing the fucking game. And so the fact that some armies have this option, like, oh, well, like Tyranids, there's a way where you basically are succeed dynasty working for another dynasty, and so that just lets you act as that dynasty, except you can just change your own color scheme. Cool. Just do that for everyone. Just give that to every army. Not every army has that option. And again, there's no reason why it shouldn't. If you're going to stick that straight to lore, then a lot of things should get fixed. There are more priorities. Lastly, I'll do another video. I'm going to actually work on this list and do it separately. I'll probably just do a video like this, though. I'm not going to do something in depth. Talk about all the like weird, unresolved things in 40k. Or things to look at or strange or to think about. And so I'll talk more about that later. I'm not going to do that now because I really want to take a break. How long has it been going for? Tell me. Forget. Over an hour. But yeah, I think it's still very fun to play, etc., collect. I would love to reach out to a lot more people about the hobby. But I've just not been very turned on. I'm a little turned off, but more so just not really turned on lately. And I just don't like all of Chaos Space Marines basically being cookie cutter. And then Leagues of Votann came out like broken, and then GW made an apology video mocking themselves instead of just doing it fucking right the first time. And then it's like, oh, we'll even accept refunds. That's nice, cool. Why can't you just do it right the first time? Put more effort in. There's so many talks I've had with people and other people about the fact that they had game testers purposely ignored or devalued or just had their time wasted because GW didn't give a shit. And if you need to do a revolving door policy for money, then why even make this video this quick? Like, I don't know. Or enforce that they can't be banned from tournaments. Because that sounds like a fandom ban. Which people could still just run them if they want. Let people do what they want. There's just so many issues I have with it. The Magna Rail, again, was also ridiculous. And the power creep was just a bit too much for them. So I get it. It's just... the company's not been doing well in my eyes. And it makes me more worried with the upcoming Eisenhorn whenever the fucking comes out. That might be woke, cringe, or deviate from the novels. I really think these are 5 fun armies to play that are cool in their own respects. Like one's super shooty, super melee, shooty AFK, shooty-ish weird, and then very psychic. Yeah, again, there's a lot of other armies. I have a lot of armies and videos on my channel. Check them out. Like, share, subscribe if you'd like. Good-natured feedback really does cheer me up. Especially that I'm being a Debbie Downer. Sad Panda for a while now. Just dealing with some IRL shit. Looking for work while I'm feeling sick. Worrying about money and stuff. So, while I would love to be making, like 10 to 15 grand a fucking month, like some of the other guys do, I have not been on here for the years that they have. I don't make nearly the same content quality, and I understand that and respect that. So it'd be stupid to whine about it. I still would like to eventually get there one day. I think that'd be super cool. I doubt it'll be a fucking thing. Because again, I even feel weird about accepting money. But, oh my god, they just have it so made. What I wouldn't give to be in their shoes. But it's easy to say, like, what is it? Everybody wants to be a bodybuilder, but nobody wants to lift these heavy-ass weights every day. Yeah. Yeah, if... Oh, wait. Yeah. Oh, so I didn't fully, finish saying this. So the tournament flaw. Yes. Oh, my thing. Thank God. I'm, like, spazzing out. My voice is so dead. Right. So, when Harlequins were insane... they were actually more insane than people thought because so many people brought Harlequins because they were so good that Harlequins had a lower percentage win rate because some lost because some Harlequins fought other Harlequins. Now, also, for some videos, like I saw Ospac Tactics and a few other people post about tournament winning lists, etc. I was like, well, this is the best one. This is an objective fact. It's the number. You can't argue with it. Yes, but that's just
of, as you said, what's being run in the tournaments. What people have, what they bring, what they can afford, what's fully painted, assembled, and available, how well they run it, and what kind of game they have. So there's so many things come into play here, and more often than not, some people don't run as efficient lists as they could, or they get bad matchups, or more so, they just run whatever is the most meta. And so if you you don't see a lot of Imperial Fists because they're just so bad right now. Well, if you had only Imperial Fists playing like 3/4 of the games, then statistically they're going to be doing better. Their percentage is going to rise. They haven't gotten changed. It's just more people playing a bad army. Now you can also just have other armies that are far better than them, efficiency-wise, on average, lose because the players are bad. So to take a very small sample size of different tournaments of what's actually being played, you come to a problem of, yes, it is realistic, it is what is in the tournaments, what's being played, that's objective numbers, yes. However, if people aren't playing a bunch of different armies, they're not playing them very good, then you're going to get faulty data. And then your GW is only making changes based on what they see in the tourney, and it just causes problems of what people say is the best army. They're making people swan and swoon over fucking Ynnari and Tyranids about being ridiculous when some armies can play up. A lot of armies can build up well to deal with them if you think about it. Like the zoanthropes, yeah, they're spooky, but just get a lot of shooting. Or just get some chargy stuff. Deep strike. Deep strike. Deep strike fucks them up. Deep strike would fuck this list. Anti-psyker fucks this list. Other psyker can deal with this to a degree. Big elite killer stuff. You don't have any kind of melta in your list, you're gonna have a problem with a lot of armies. But then that forces people to run a lot of meltas. I think you should run a little bit. But then it's like, oh, what if your opponent kills that one unit? Then you can run it down to 2. Oh, but you say you don't want people to run a lot of the same unit. That's why I want them to give a thematic bonus to make it so they'll make it a bit more even. But they haven't done that, which makes people more focused to run multiple of the same fucking thing. And it just creates an issue with these tournaments getting false data to GW, and then people complain they don't fix shit right because the best way to build is not thematic, and it causes fun issues. Hell, one of the better armies I played in 9th edition before they got a codex update was the Tyranids, because Hiveguard were disgusting in like Chronos or something, because they shot across the board with no penalty through objects, ignore light cover, melta shots, and it's like, oh well, you can bring the one unit of 6 and give them a bunch of bonuses. Yeah, you're right. Or hear me out, I bring 3 units of 5 or 6. Yeah, they're not getting all the bonuses, but I don't care. Like, the amount of oppression you present is just disgusting. And it's not fun because it was just too much. And then even all these armies, it's like, at least you have, like, cover, at least you have obscuring. But no, you couldn't deal with the fuckers. Armor Contempt now to also reduce the AP, but no, back then, no. None of that. Hiveguard were ridiculous. And so, they needed to get changed drastically. Happy Dougie. So, some stuff is just so significantly fucking flawed. And here we go, like the Hammerhead Gunship. A single Hammerhead is not ridiculous for Tau. Now when you run 3 to 4 of them, aka you run Long Strike for Tau Sept with 3 Hammerheads as well, you're gonna have a bad day. Well, yeah, I should say your opponent will likely have a bad day. Not necessarily because you might end up just killing 3 Terminators. Ooh. Like, who gives a shit? And even then, it's a 50-50 coin toss without marker lights if they're even going to hit. And they can get worse. So, they are not as ridiculous. They are still a bit too good. But depending on what your opponent builds, it's not an issue. But if they're playing Knights, well, they're fucked. Like, Knights just still have too many issues with them. They need some more love. Even more so Chaos Knights, because their Dread Rangers are just stupid. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff. I would love to micro every single army, give my updates, a 10-page document on each one, be paid to by GW, $10 a pop per page of ways to tweak it.
I might even go more than that. I would love to do that. But, hey.
The fuck did you just eat? I just choked out my dog for a second. I know you didn't like that, girl. I'm sorry, but you poop something weird later. The fuck did you eat? It's bothering me that I don't know. Alright, well, I need to try to figure out what my dog ate, take a shit again, and then go to the hot tub and relax. If you like this content, like, share, subscribe. I don't think I missed anything that I wanted to talk about. I don't know when I'm going to put on more Warhammer Actual 40k content. It's going to take a long time, I think, for all the squat models to come out and then go on TTS. And then, like, it's going to take so long. The Imperial Guard Codex might come out first. So, I don't know. And there's all these rumors about 10th edition and shit. And again, not even the Guard Codex is out yet. All kinds of stuff. Anyway. Yeah, please check out some of my other content, or at the very least, have a good day. If you don't want to subscribe or like my videos, whatever. But have a great day. Take care. Game on.
Remember to share the content to other channels and your friends if you liked it, so that way the channel can grow.